Okay, number 12. Find the missing length on the right triangle. And again, this is Pythagorean theorem, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The only difference this time is, again, remember across from my right angle is my c. So this time we have to put 15 in for c. We're going to put x in for a and 13 in for b. So when we square everything out, we get x squared plus 169 equals 225. Now to get x by itself, we have to subtract 169 from both sides, which gives us x squared equals 56. And then again, we have to take the square root of both sides, so x is equal to the square root of 56. And when we do the square root of 56, we get 7.48. And again, we have to round to the nearest tenth. So that means that our side is x is 7.5 inches. So there's our answer. For our next problem, "95% of 400 is what number?" So for these, I'm going to use the proportion method for all of them. And that's, remember, is over of equals percent over 100. So in this case, is what number means that that's our unknown. So we get x over, the of is 400. My percent is 95, and percent's always over 100. So we're going to cross multiply. We get 100x equals 38,000. And when we divide both sides by 100, we get x equals 380. And that makes sense because 380 is pretty close to 400, and 95% is pretty close to 100%. Okay, so for number 14, we're going to change back to black to write the problem. 14, we've got 15% of what number is 90? So we're going to do the is over of equals percent over 100 again. Is 90 of what number equals percent 15 out of 100. And then we cross multiply. 90 times 100 gives us 9,000, and that equals 15x. Divide both sides by 15. So that gives us 600 as our answer. Okay, for the next problem we have a word problem. Before taking a typing course, Jana could type 36 words per minute. By the end of the course, she was able to type 97 words per minute. Find the percent of increase. Well, percent increase, if you recall, is the amount of the increase divided by the original amount. So in this case, the amount of the increase would be 97 minus 36, which is 61. So that's 61 on the top, 36 on the bottom. And then remember to change to a percent, we multiply by 100 also. That way we don't have to worry about that. So we divide 61 by 36, which gives us 1.69, and then we multiply by 100, so we get 169.44, and it keeps repeating, percent. And then we're told to round to the 1/10 of a percent, so that means we're rounding to this decimal place, so we get 169.4%. It's always better when you're asked to round to the 1/10 of the percent to go ahead and change it to a percent first and then round it so you don't lose decimal places. Okay, so for the next one we're talking about percent decrease. And again, percent decrease is the decrease over the original amount times 100. So what we're going to do is our percent decrease is 30%, so 30 equals the amount of the decrease, which is 75 over x, because we don't know what x is, times 100. So what we have is we have this equation, and I'm going to rewrite it a little differently. 30 over 1 equals 75. 75 times 100 is 7,500 over x. So now it's basically a proportion. We cross multiply, and we get 30x equals 7,500. Divide both sides by 30. So x comes out to be 250 pounds. So originally she weighed 250 pounds, and she lost 30% of her weight. Okay, so our next problem, we have a translate and solve problem. Number 17. We're supposed to translate 15 subtracted from a number is negative 23. Now, to translate this, we have to remember that when it says subtracted from a number, that means we start with our a number, which is our x. So x minus 15 equals negative 23. And then to solve this, we just add 15 to both sides, and that gives us x equals negative 8. Just remember, when you see subtracted from, that whatever follows from has to be your first thing you write. Okay, so for number 18, we have twice the difference of a number and 7 is equal to negative 8. So the first thing we have to be careful of is it says twice the difference. That means it's going to be 2 times something minus something else. And in this case it says a number, which we call x, and 7. So it's going to be x minus 7. But notice, since it says twice the difference, we have 2 times something in parentheses. And then the last part is equal to negative 8 is the easy part. So now we have to distribute. We get 2x minus 14 equals negative 8. And then we add 14 to both sides. That gives us 2x equals 6. Then we divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 3. So our number is 3. Okay, the next problem says we're going to evaluate for x equals -2. Now, what that means is everywhere we have an x, we're going to put in some parentheses. This keeps us from losing minus signs. And then within each of those parentheses, we're going to write -2, because that's what we're plugging in for x. Okay. And we're going to works out to be 23. So that's our answer for that problem.